collection. So check. And we are outdoors today. So I just saw that my internet went out a little bit, so I'm going to get closer to the house. We're going to stay near the house, but we're going to explore the outbuildings. And before I forget, our Wake Up with Ashland series is sponsored by Dupree Mutual Funds. So thank you so much to Dupree Mutual Funds for sponsoring this. We are trying to keep the grounds looking healthy and wonderful so that you all can come out here and explore. You can learn, you can picnic, you can maybe get some mental health time, some exercise here on the grounds. We have 17 acres. So today what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little bit about, maybe if you've been coming out here and walking, what are you seeing and what are these buildings and what's the context and the history behind it. So that's what we're doing today. And we're going to start here at the front of the mansion. And we'll just kind of work our way around to some of the buildings. If you have questions at any point, just drop those in the comments. I've got colleagues working from home. If I can't answer it, they can. But if you haven't already, go ahead and go to the comment section and let us know where you're watching from. Of course, some of our visitors or some of our viewers are here in Lexington, but some of you can't come to the estate. So this is kind of a good opportunity for you to see how beautiful the grounds are today. I will say that it is cold out here today, but it is beautiful. So we're just gonna do some exploring, and if you have questions, again, just drop those in the comment section. I'll do my best with them. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera to the front of the mansion. Oh, hello, my mom and my sister are watching. Hello. Good morning, Julie Brock. Good morning, Sue Andrew. I see that you all are watching too. Thanks for joining us. So we're gonna start here at the front of the mansion. I'm just kind of going to pan around. Hi, I've got dog walkers here. Hi. They're enjoying our grounds this morning. We're on Facebook Live. You can say hello to all of our visitors. Hello. We're gonna just pan around here to the front. You can see how gorgeous it is out here this morning. You can hear some of our wildlife as well. So here we are at the front of the mansion. Now, just to give you a little bit of background information, Henry Clay was born in Virginia, came to Kentucky in the late 1700s, met a young woman named Lucretia Hart. They married. They lived downtown for a short time, and then he wanted an estate like the one he grew up on. So in the early 1800s, came out here. About 1804, purchased the first set of 125 acres and began plans for building the estate and growing the estate. And then we know that the estate ends up being about 660 acres at its height. So for those of you who are familiar with Lexington, or maybe you live in the neighborhood, it is all part of what used to be Henry Clay's estate here at Ashland. So the original house was built in the Federal style, but the house that you see here was built in the Italianate style. We're not going to spend too much time on the architecture because we want to save that for another Wake Up with Ashland, where we're going to focus entirely on the architecture itself. Some of you may notice that we have some art on the grounds, and we'll do another whole segment on the art on the grounds, but it's just a really interesting way to kind of juxtapose the natural landscape with some of this constructivist art by a local artist, somebody named John Henry, who was born in Lexington, and his work has been displayed all over the world. You can see that there if you want to look him up, see some of his work. We've got 3 sculptures of his on the property. So we're here at the side of the estate on one of the wings of the house. Gonna do another pan here, and we're gonna go explore some of the outbuildings. First, we're gonna start with, maybe our human needs. One of the reasons this is the closest to the house, and I'll let you all guess what it is when we get a little bit closer. If you want to go to the comment section now, let me know what you think might be the closest outbuilding to the house. Anybody know what this is? I'll give you a little view, a little hint here. Anybody know what it is now? We're in the privy. So the privy here at Ashland, the outhouse. Yeah, there you go, Donna. Thank you. So we're here at the outhouse or the privy. Now this is close to the mansion, but this would never actually been Henry Clay's privy. His privy, let me show you, is outlined right over here. So those of you who eat on our patio, go to the Ginkgo Tree Cafe, you notice that there's a little part of the patio that kind of juts out a little bit. This is the privy. This is Henry Clay's privy. This is where this was. But we know that this privy over here was during Henry Clay's son James's time here at Ashland. We know that because there was an excavation done, and the earliest deposits are from about 1860s. So that's how we know that. And we also see some interesting artifacts that were maybe thrown down the privy. You can see that here, china and whatnot. So that's an interesting way to learn about the material culture of Ashland. What do people throw away? You can kind of think about that in any era of history, right? What do people throw away? Oh, Graham says the sculptures are a wonderful compliment to the estate. I totally agree, Graham. Okay, now we're going to enter here. Can you all tell me what this building is? Anybody? And why it has these interesting holes in it? We'll enter. Julie Brock says there are 2 seating areas. Would people really go side by side? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I've asked it a million times. Yeah, there are 2 seating areas in the privy. So we're now in the smokehouse. There you go, Sue. We're in the smokehouse. And the reason you see these holes, they look, pleasing, visually pleasing. Yeah, we're in the smokehouse. So the reason we have these holes is because a fire pit would be built here, right in the center, about where this piece of trunk is now. A fire would be, billowing all through the winter, and smoked meats. So we're smoking meats here. Of course, the people who were smoking the meats, things like hams, were the enslaved people here at Ashland. We know that Lewis Richardson was somebody who tended to the farm animals, to the hogs, probably did some slaughtering and smoking of the meat. So that's what would have taken place here. And for those of you who are in Lexington, this is open to the public. You can just come in, walk in, and check out our scientific farmer exhibit here, which is a great way to kind of interact with Ashland in a low-touch way. And you don't have to interact with people. Can kind of stay socially distanced. We've got some salt troughs here. They would have been filled with salt, and the meats would have been placed in the salt troughs to extract all of the moisture and make sure that the family could eat, throughout the summer. This is all work that was done in the winter, the slaughtering of the hogs. And we know that the people who were enslaved here at Ashland, they ate a lot of salted pork. So that was part of their diet as well. Now, I've got something here on the ground that I'm going to show you. I'm not going to touch it because, we're trying to avoid touching things. But this, can anybody tell me what this is? It's got a woody stalk, and a hint is that we grow it out here at Ashland, and Henry Clay also grew it. It was illegal for a time. It has been legalized again. Can anybody tell me what this crop is? Hemp. That's right, Sue, it's hemp. So hemp was grown here at Ashland, and we actually grow it here today again. We kind of got a license, an educational license to grow hemp. Hemp, you've probably heard it associated with marijuana, and it is a cannabis crop, but it is not in any way providing the hallucinogenic effect that its cousin marijuana provides. So you can actually see out here, kind of in a distance, that we have a shock of hemp that is still up from last year. So that's where you can come out here and actually see some hemp. Now, what are these conical buildings that you see here? These conical buildings are pretty iconic here at Ashland. And there's something that the Clay family had because of their wealth, but they would not have been something that the average family in the 1800s would have had. But it would have really elevated their way of life. This is the this is the ice house and the dairy cellar. So we have ice, if you can visualize, stairs down this doorway, stairs down this door well, actually, there's not stairs, but there's a way you can lower ice, big, huge chunks of ice down there, and then they would have been connected via a tunnel. So we're kind of walking where the tunnel would have been down there to this area, the dairy cellar, where all of Henry Clay's, and I'll try not to drop my phone down here, where the family's dairy products would have been. So you can actually see there. Now, how would they have accessed this? Their eggs and milk and that sort of thing that kept cool all summer long so that Lucretia could make her famous ice cream. Well, if you enter here, and we're trying not to open so many things so we don't have many opportunities for, touching same things. So down here, there's a set of stairs, and that would have led to where the enslaved people could go and get the eggs, the milk, and that sort of thing. So it kept the 19th century diet pretty varied, so that the family here at Ashland and their guests, but not really the enslaved people, would have access to a varied diet. Now, I'm going to show you another view of the smokehouse. The center block there, you can still kind of see the holes from this angle. The center block would have been here during Henry and Lucretia's time. Kate says that they are connected via a pipe, not a tunnel. Yes, thank you, Kate. Very good clarification. The center block here of the smokehouse is original to Henry Clay's time, and later these extra parts, like the Ginkgo Tree Cafe and the place where we house the carriage, were added. Now, Henry Clay's carriage house probably would have been around the start of the parking lot over here. But you can kind of envision what that would have been like. So we're actually going to go see Henry Clay's carriage right now. The coach. Okay. There's a glare in this, of course, but I'll let you see. Yes, Julie Brock says a very small tunnel. Yes, a pipe can be considered a very small tunnel. There we go. But yes, it wouldn't have been something that somebody could have walked through. So you can see this coach here that Henry Clay would have ridden in, and a man by the name of Charles Dupuy would have likely driven. He was enslaved here at Ashland, and we'll learn about Charles and his wife Lottie and their son and their daughter another day. But today we're just kind of, I think I said Charles Dupuy, I mean Aaron Dupuy. Today we're just going to see this carriage. Now you can think about Henry Clay traveling back and forth from Washington, from Lexington, and that trip could have taken up to 3 weeks. So Henry Clay was obviously very interested in creating some roads to make sure that Kentuckians could get to Washington, D.C., a national road. So he's very interested in infrastructure in that way. You can also see a plow here. It's kind of difficult to see. Yeah, it's a little bit too difficult to see. A plow that belonged to Henry Clay. It was given to him as a gift. And we recently just acquired this, so it's a really cool piece of the collection. It's difficult to see on the camera though, unfortunately. But this was a farm, right? So we've got 660 acres, and all 660 acres were part of Henry Clay's farm. So we've got behind the privy here, we've got Henry Clay's pleasure grounds. And they're still used that way today. So you can see it's a beautiful day out here, but we often have picnickers, we have people who host, celebratory events out here. One of the other cool things, this is always people's favorite, where the garden sign has been kind of eaten by this tree that's grown, are these walking paths, Henry Clay's original walking paths. And he would have walked along them, and he would have thought about the big issues of his day. So there's a parallel walking path right over there. Are any of the family members of these enslaved people still in the area? We don't know. So unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of information for genealogy to indicate that there are. But we're always working on that. We're trying to include more on our website so that people who are doing their own family genealogy, maybe this is a resource for them. Birds are very loud this morning. Okay, now I'm going to show you one more thing. And that's the cottage, the keeper's cottage. Keeper's cottage is pretty iconic too. Today, if you go to the keeper's cottage to the window, you can actually see some of our merchandise, which you can buy at henryclay.org. You can shop there. But if you are just window shopping, you can come look in the windows here. Trying to get creative here. So the keeper's cottage was also around during Henry Clay's time. One of the other outbuildings that was there during his time. Of course, a lot of the outbuildings have since been taken down. But you can envision the groundskeeper living here. And we think maybe for a short time even, while the house was being renovated, that Henry Clay's son James and his wife Susan probably lived here at least for a little while. Yes, Terry Smith referenced Yvonne Giles, who is a very, legendary genealogist here in Lexington. Now, you can probably notice a dent in the grass that I'm walking on here. And this dent is pretty cool. This is actually the farm road. The farm road here at Ashland. People still walk on it today. It's still it's kind of like an artifact in and of itself. Even though there's nothing here, this road still remains. So it's pretty remarkable. It connected the farm, the estate. Right behind it would have been a row of slave quarters. So this is where some of the people who were enslaved to work in the mansion, or maybe they worked with the hogs, or something close to the house. This is where they would have lived. Unfortunately, all of those buildings are gone today. But this is where they would have been. So you can really envision this farm road connecting the people who lived at this part of the estate and people who lived on a different part of the estate, who were maybe enslaved to work with hemp or something like that in the fields. So I'm just going to kind of give you a little panorama here. My goodness, it's a beautiful day out here. Now, right behind where the slave quarters would have been is the garden hedge. And the garden hedge wouldn't have actually been here during Henry Clay's time. The garden, was added in the 1950s, and it is maintained by the Lexington Garden Club. And we'll take a little peek at that here in a second. I do want to show you this though. We have a brand new tour called Traces Slavery at Ashland, and this is where your tour will start eventually when we are able to reopen. We had just opened this, launched it in March, and we had a few tours that we were able to take folks on before we closed. So we're looking forward to opening that up again. It's the only guided slavery tour in the state of Kentucky. Marilyn Capsmears asks how many enslaved people were there here at Ashland. Well, we have names documented for 122 people. 122 people. There could have been more than that. We think maybe 20 to 50 at any given point who were enslaved here at Ashland. And these are men, women, and children. We know that Henry Clay purchased at least 60 people over the course of his life. But of course, there were families here who had children, and so there was a prior garden too. Yes, Julie asks, was there a prior garden too? Back where we were just a second ago, there was a kitchen garden, but yes, there was another garden too. We can actually see the sundial from the garden that was here when Henry Clay's great-granddaughter, Madeline McDowell Breckenridge, was here. So why not take a jaunt through the garden? The Lexington Garden Club has done a tremendous job keeping this garden up and providing a place for Lexingtonians to come and, you know, find some solace, kind of in the same way that Henry Clay did. Here at Ashland, he was, you know, he had a career that was tumultuous and chaotic at times, dealing with really huge issues, and so he could come here to Ashland and find some you know, relief. Jesse asks, what's the Civil War history? We are going to do a whole tour one day of just about the Civil War. There was actually a skirmish here at Ashland, and we are going to talk about that skirmish. We'll also talk a little bit about where Henry Clay's family kind of fell, on which sides they fell, and how Henry Clay tried to prevent the war. So here's that sundial I was talking about. Do we know of any president visiting the estate during or after Henry Clay's life? I'm going to toss that to Eric, who's watching at home, I hope. And Eric is our curator, so he'll be able to answer that. How big was the original farm when Henry Clay was alive? Well, he purchased the first set of 125 acres, but it later grew to be 660 acres at its height. And if people ask me questions about the flowers, I'm going to be in trouble, but I'm sure we've got some people at home who know a whole lot more than I do. Okay, if there are no more questions, go ahead and pop them in the comment section if you do have any questions. But if there are no more, we'll end it here in the garden and just kind of, actually I'm going to turn it around because this is such a beautiful view. I love this view. You can see the top of the cottage here. I mean, this is just so peaceful. If you are somebody who's been here to Ashland during the pandemic and you found some relief, some quiet time with your thoughts, or maybe away from your thoughts, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we're thankful to be able to offer this to Lexington. I know it's something that's important to a lot of people, but it's not easy to maintain. So if you have the ability and want to donate, you can go to henryclay.org/donate. And my colleague Kate can probably put that in the comment section if you'd like to donate. Okay, Eric Brooks just added the answer to which presidents visited Ashland. William Henry Harrison visited as president-elect, and Martin Van Buren after he finished his term. Now, there are a number of others visited later, he said. Okay, well, we're going to end there today. Thank you all so much for coming and taking this virtual tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it added a little bit of green to your Facebook feed. We can go back to the mansion another day, but I thought it's such a beautiful day this morning. It would be a shame not to show off Ashland in its glory. So I'm going to end here, the garden gate. We thank you all for joining, and catch us this Thursday as Eric Brooks is going to explore a little bit more from the collection. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll hope you're staying safe. Thanks.